Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host, HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today we have a very special guest with us because she's been a good friend of mine for like 2 years now. Say hello.
Hi, my name is Elli.
And Ellie's here with us because she's probably the biggest Shira fan I know. And look at the calendar. The final season of Shira and the Princesses of Power came out yesterday at the time of this recording on Netflix.
The end
And,
of an era.
the end of an era. And,
Yeah.
we reviewed the previous 4 seasons, so it only makes sense that we'll be here for the finale. So let's talk about this to those who are new to our podcast. First of all, welcome. It's always good to have you here. But second of all, we're starting with a quick non-spoilery discussion to those who haven't had a chance to finish the entire thing yet, since it just came out yesterday. Although I'm assuming that if you're listening to this, you probably saw everything. And when we're about to talk spoilers, we will give you a heads up to close the video, watch the season, and come back. With that said, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power Season 5, the final season. Ellie, since you're the guest and you haven't been with us for the previous seasons, what is your overall opinion of the show and this season in particular?
Okay, well, first of all, since I'm a very big fan, I certainly think that the final season was like the perfect ending for me. I personally got everything, almost everything I wanted, at least everything that matters the most. And well, the what comes to my mind first is the animation is freaking gorgeous. Like, it has improved so much since the season one, and like in this season, it just pops out. Like, it's so spectacular. Also, the music. The music has always been like big, huge part for me that I love this show, and it just keeps getting better the deeper we go into the series. And what I overall love about the series is like the open queerness that it's not like the show discriminates like heteros or something. It's just like no one gets questioned whether it comes to their body, gender, sexuality, or like race. And it just gives the most perfect representation of like LGBTQ and people of color, and it's just so perfect. And yeah.
Okay, interesting. So, Wolf, what are your thoughts about the final season?
I enjoyed it. I mean, Ellie kind of nailed it on the head. It gave me everything it needed to give me, I feel. And I think, having seen this final season, I can walk away from She-Ra happy, right? Like, I can, for the most part, I think I can walk away with from She-Ra satisfied and happy that I saw everything I felt like I needed to see, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to be the downer one, but the season is great. Let's start with this. Let's start with this. That this season is great, and like you guys said, it basically gave me what I wanted to see. It gave me a good conclusion. It gave me, there are a lot of great moments, a lot of great episodes, but at the same time, for everything this season does excellent, and there's a lot of excellent to go around. There are some parts where I'm just looking and saying, why are we doing this? And when I stop to think about this, it feels like this season kind of dragged and tried to be 13 episodes, where it honestly didn't need to be.
Really?
And,
I find
yeah,
that
and
interesting because I feel like it could have used another episode or two.
I disagree about that. But the thing is that, and it kind of annoys me because, like the start of this season, I was like, yeah, this is the best season by far. This is an amazing finish. And then the second half started dragging, and and it kind of annoys me because if it wasn't for this, I would say this is my favorite season. But as it stands, I kind of believe I prefer season 4 a bit more. Not to say season 5 is bad by any means. It's the conclusion the series deserves. It's a great ending, but what I think one or two episodes worth of content cutting out would have made it better.
I have to disagree too. Oh my god.
That's completely fair. That's why we're doing this. We're comparing opinions like civilized people.
It's just almost
Yeah.
always wrong, so it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, but like since I follow a lot of like Krura and what they've been up to before, alongside the production. So I knew like almost when I started watching, I immediately knew because I read so much about it that it is gonna be 52, 53 episodes. I'm not good at math, but anyways, and like I trust Noelle with my life. She is
Noelle,
just the god.
she means Noelle Stevenson, the show creator, just
Yeah.
to the people who may not know.
Yeah, Noelle is my queen, and I trust her with my life, and I trusted her to deliver everything she has the power to do, and like she did it to me. And of course there are like things that I miss that didn't happen, but like all the thing that was necessary, and I know that the show got the ending and the middle and the beginning that Noelle wanted, and Shinji is so amazing. I can't ask more, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Noelle, if you're seeing this, then please contact us so that you can kill me, but give Ellie the biggest hug.
Yes, please.
But yeah, again, not to say that this is bad by any means. I just think, and we'll get to this as we get into spoilers. Which, by the way, do we have any non-spoilery things to say, or should we move on to the spoilers section?
Let's just move because I have so much to say.
Okay, fair. So so to those of you who haven't watched all the episode, this is your chance to close the video and go listen and go watch the show.
Go
You really
watch
should.
the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why haven't you already?
Yeah, that's if you listen to this.
That's the
why?
question.
Yeah.
Why? Why are you still here?
Okay, so spoilers in 3, 2, 1. You still here? Good. Everyone dies. Moving on. That was a very depressing ending, I have to say. Like, okay, but
It almost could have been that.
Yeah,
It almost could have been that.
Yeah, jumping a bit ahead. Yeah, that almost did happen, but we are jumping a bit ahead. So episode 1, Horde Prime. Elli, want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, wait, I'll take my notes. Okay, first, the episode 1. It's just, what I love. Where do I start? Like, God.
You know what? If I may lead you for something, then let's just agree. Great start to the episode and season in general. Seeing Adora not being able to be Shira anymore, but she still fights, and we get to see all the princesses, work together alongside Bo and still trying to protect Tateria. Again, this is a great way to get you into the swing of things after the pretty downer ending of the previous season.
Yes.
To show you that there is still hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and okay, what I love in every episode, but in this one too, that there's still like hope and humor in like everything.
Yeah.
And even though this is a dark themed cartoon, it still like delivers all the happiness and girl power. And I just love how Adora is like super strong in the first episode. Like And I also love how she's such a dumb girl because she forgets that she's not the Shira anymore.
Yeah,
And
that by instinct she's starting to
yeah,
say the line, and then right.
yeah. And I love that we get to see all the princesses work together, except of course Glimmer. But yeah, and back in the ship, I love that we see Catra because I love Catra the most. I would die for her.
In
Yeah,
this house we stand.
agreed.
In this
Agreed.
house we stand one of two characters. You're either Entrapped or you're Catra. That's this house.
Yes, and Scorpio,
Um,
and Adora, and everything.
this is something actually, before we start getting into because there are a lot of great character moments in this. Like Ellie said, I love Adora, trying to live with the fact that she's not Shira anymore. And then, when they go back from the mission to their camp, you can actually see with little dialogue how much the situation is dire. And there's also a scene that actually got me is that there's this kid who drops a Shira doll and Adora picks it up for her. And it's like, it actually hurts that there are people who are like starting to give up that Shira is actually gone. This was really impactful. And also, and another character interactions that I really like, Swiftwind and Scorpia have this awesome friendship.
Yeah, they have a
I-
really cool
Yeah.
bromance that forms throughout the season that I actually really enjoyed. Like,
Same.
I didn't
I don't
expect that
get
I would
why
like that
people-
much, but yeah, that was great.
Yeah, like I don't get why people hate Swiftwind. I love him. Okay.
I get why, but at the same time, in this season, he was great. I really
Yeah, they
enjoyed
toned
him.
down.
It was great.
He's been a bit more on the annoying side in some of the past seasons and how they used him comedically, but in this one, I think they used him extremely well. Right, they did really well with him, and they kind of toned down some of the more annoying bits, and really kind of let his humor shine in other ways, which was really enjoyable. It made the
I
character
just
way
find
more
him
fun.
hilarious.
I do too, but
Oh,
On that note, we kind of mentioned Catra, and so we can also talk about her side of the episode. That one we see her, talk to Horde Prime for the first time. Can I just kind of comment that I don't get Horde Prime's design? Like because over one of his eyes, he has 3 more eyes.
well, he has one
But
eye
the-
over it and then one eye under it.
Yeah, that's you know what I mean. That on the one side of his face has 4 eyes, but the other side doesn't.
okay.
It's like,
You
I don't
you
know.
are
I know. I'm a nitpicker. I'm
No.
aware.
what I'm trying to say is that you are a coward, and I'm gonna say it. Horde Prime is hot.
Okay.
I'm just saying what you're too afraid to say.
I honestly had no idea this is the direction this conversation is taking.
I'm sorry.
You know what? I
Okay.
can see it.
No,
I
no.
can see where you're coming from. I'm
Yeah.
not attracted to him, but I can see where you're coming from.
I mean, if 4 eyes do it for you, but again, I don't know. Seeing this design with 4 eyes on one side and one on the other, it's like what, did you forget to finish the design before you pass it on for approval? And on that note, who
No,
approved?
for some reason, like I find it actually very perfect because he has to change the body. So I get that he looks kind of unfinished on purpose. It represents
Okay.
some kind of the process that he goes through from time to time when he has to change the body again, and he grows the bodies in the ship.
Okay.
And I gotta get
Fair
that.
enough. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, that one clone, there was that one clone that's hilarious. That like the one who gets Catra to see Hold Prime and actually keeps her away from Glimmer's cell. He's hilarious. I love him.
Yeah.
And
So, speaking of the first episode, I'll bring up, I loved the dinner scene here.
yeah,
Yeah. Same.
I think
Because,
that
like-
really sold Horde Prime as a villain for me. Like everything
Yeah,
he's about
he's-
and does, like that was just beautiful. That was great.
Yeah, and
Like,
he's so aggressive but polite, or politely aggressive, or something like
You know,
that.
I noted this for the next episode, but something about the way he talks, something about the way he plans, something about the plan itself, he really reminded me of Thanos.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, but yeah, the dinner scene, just I also like, that we get to see that Catra still cares about Adora. When she sees her footage, and when he mentions her or he shows her the footage, and you can actually see her nails like scratching the desk. It's like it's subtle, and the thing is that he notices this, like
because
this
Prime sees all.
exactly. And you know what? Good on him for saying all, because it makes him a threat.
Yeah.
But yeah, a great opener, great way to start. Anything else to say on episode 1?
No, let's get going.
Okay, so episode 2, lunch. The thing that I barely had today. But I just want to say one thing and one thing only to start us off. Bo is great, and I love Bo, and we should all appreciate him because he's the best.
Bo is like the dad nobody knew that they needed, but like they do. Or I don't know if that makes sense, but anyways, Bo is a babe.
Agreed.
Yeah, Bo is great, and also this is an episode that actually gives us a bit of interaction between the princesses,
minus Adora.
Yeah, minus Adora, and Glimmer, but obviously. But at the same time, it is nice to see the side princesses actually getting to work together and trying to use one's strengths to their advantage, and how they need to work together and account for the others mistakes. That's great stuff. I like
a girl in Trap that does care.
Yes, and my girl in Trap is the representative to autistic people, and I love this show for that. And this episode shows it just so well. Like, she knows that she's not good with people, but she tries in her own way. And the scene, you know what I'm talking about, the scene where everybody gets mad at her and she doesn't understand that, and she's like, oh, are you all mad at me? And it's just so it broke my heart, and it was so beautiful and sad and so necessary, I think.
And another thing, kind of comedic thing that I kind of enjoy the fact that they keep her on a leash so that she won't run off to see other stuff. That was pretty funny.
It's entrapped her though. She gets out of everything.
Yeah.
There's not been a single leash or handcuff or anything that has been able to hold her. She somehow gets out of it immediately. So that worked out very well, as you can imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the interaction between the princesses. I like also the action scene where they are actually, walking together and, kicking butt. This was great. I enjoyed that.
And I liked Mermista because she's like a mood. She always complains, but now she just uses the complaining to something constructive, if that's how you say it, like, I don't know, I just feel her frustration.
Her frustration has a point.
Yeah, exactly, that's what I kinda.
Okay. And on the other side of space, the scene where Glimmer sees her father is alive, that actually hits. That was a powerful scene. Yes, and I'm saying this is someone who didn't like Glimmer at all the previous season specifically. So,
oh my god, how dare you!
Simple. She was annoying last season. Not in this season though.
But she was a babe, and she still is. Anyways,
but actually, if there's one thing I will say, Glimmer is 10 times better than. So,
but 10 times better than.
10 times better than.
Yeah, what did you say? 10 times better than her.
Than the previous season.
Yeah.
And yeah, that scene where she sees her father is alive actually really hurts. This was a powerful moment. Good on them.
Yeah.
By the way, this VA has such terrible luck with getting characters. and who need to find their dads or get back in touch with their dads.
Yeah.
Hippo and Glimmer. This VA has played both characters, and both characters lose their dads, get back in touch with their dads, then lose them a second time. Terrible
Yeah.
luck.
So it's like Mae Whitman that
Mm.
that like she has like 3 walls, and that has something to do with her father being missing or dying or away or something.
This character's on the right track so far.
Yeah. Oh well, and then this is I think this is kind of the first time during Adora's dream that we see the new design for She-Ra. What do you think? What do you think about that?
I like
the new design.
Yeah.
It's all kinds of perfect.
Mm.
Like like how it
As we have a background image with the old design.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should talk about this in the later time because it doesn't really add up here.
Okay,
I will say
so
I will talk about the look later.
Okay. So
But I love it.
Anything you have to say about the episode 2, or can we move on to 3?
I think it's a good continuation on from the first episode. It kind of shows how everyone's, we've kind of found, in the first episode they found a kind of more better hiding spot and everything where they could better move out from and work from, and now it's just kind of showing the battle's taking its toll. Everyone needs to recover. Even Adora needs to recover. She needs her rest, and so now we're moving forward and seeing some of the other characters take charge as well, which I think we did need to see because a lot of the time it felt like, Marista and Entrapta, Perfuma, and Frosta kind of always followed Glimmer or Adora, and it's nice to see them just on their own, doing their own thing for once. This was a good continuation, I felt.
Okay, but the episode does end with Adora, Bo, and Entrapta, using that
space.
using that first one ship to go into space to free Glimmer, and this is basically where episode 3 picks up, which is
yes, one of my favorites.
I will say that I think one thing we can agree on is that Adora has mastered duct tape, and
she's a dumb joke.
Yeah, but I enjoy that there's a problem with the ship. There's also a point after this where Bo's like, "Where's the Entrapta?" and you just see her floating in space.
That one got me.
Space. I made spacesuits and I fixed the ship from space where I am.
This was good. You actually do a really good Entrapta.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard that before.
It just came up, but yeah, I love the space episodes so much, especially what comes later in this episode. Like the moment when Bo and Adora stands in the door of the ship and they just stare into the space. It's so magical moment. Like when they're like waiting for Glimmer to show up. But that's so beautifully made. Oh my god, it makes me wish I was in space. And I wouldn't be like entrapped. I would be like excited about the crushing void,
Yeah, but and then also we get like Catra and Glimmer bonding a bit, which I enjoy.
Oh my god, my baby girl, Catra. Was this also the episode? Yes, this was the episode with the flashbacks. Oh my god, I love the flashbacks. Like it's so. Oh my god, it just gives so like good I don't know how do you say it, but the feel how she and Adora has had the bond from the beginning, and it's just so powerful and beautiful. I can't.
I get what you mean, but at the same time, at this point in the show, we kind of knew that. So
I mean, yeah, we do, but it always overwhelms me.
It was kind of, in a way, trying to show, Catra's past and how she hasn't been always the best of friends, right? Like she's not perfect. She's not, she and it's kind of her coming to terms with accepting that she wasn't always the best person.
Yeah, it was supposed to also kind of set it up towards what she's going to do at the end of the episode, which is sacrifice herself to save Glimmer.
Does she do that episode? I thought that was next episode.
No, it's this one.
It is this one. Okay.
This one.
Okay.
Like the other one.
Yeah, you are right.
So
It's okay.
on that note, we do get Katra helping Glimmer escape, and then we get again, like, something the season does great is emotions, and when Katra does apologize and tells Adora, take care, I'm sorry for everything I've done to you, leave me here. This is powerful.
My Catadora brain went.
Like this is like the very start where you start this, where you start to realize this is going to happen by the end of this season.
Yes. I mean, I knew it from the beginning, but here we are.
I think everyone who watched this was gonna happen at some point, but
No,
yeah.
actually, there were a lot of people who doubted it, and I called them out.
Yeah, well, you haven't seen the show if you dubbed it, but whatever. Okay, but great episode once again, and a cliffhanger because I'll tell you this much, that when I watch a show like this, I like to take breaks between episodes. Sometimes, like, I can't binge the entire thing in one go. I was thinking about taking a break after this one, but I was actually super hyped that I continued on for the next one. And with that said, want to move on to episode 4?
Well, I'll point out real quick in episode 3. Poor Hordak, by the way, just getting mind wiped again, but also just kind of showing. God, that was culty.
Yeah,
Jesus,
and,
that was
the
very
ritual.
culty.
The ritual was so scary. I got goosebumps, and I was like, "This is like seriously scary."
I'm
creepy.
I'm honestly kind of curious, and it would be hard to find this out, but I would love to hear from someone who has been in something like that and has dealt with something like that, how well it handles that. I would be very curious to hear that.
Yeah.
Especially for what comes later in certain episodes that we'll get to very soon.
Yeah.
But until then.
Until then, episode 4. I really want to say that, when episode 4 started and they were like, oh, we need to land on this planet to gather these crystals so that the ship could take us, I was like, oh god, are we doing those filler episodes again? But then something happened, and it's actually one of my favorite episodes of the season. This was a great one.
I know.
Well, what do you think about episode 4? Because we obviously liked it.
Yeah, well, I think that it was. I was waiting for so long for these star siblings to come. At first, I thought they were star sisters, like in the original, I guess. And finally, it happened, and I was so happy that we got to see them, meet them at least. And of course, that moment when Adora transformed into Nashira was amazing.
This was the part that I initially was a bit concerned about, because I thought they were going like with the easy way out on it. But I actually enjoyed the fact that she didn't necessarily transform into Shira. She just kind of she let kind of a bit of Shira out. Which I appreciate, because it was an interesting way to show that Shira is inside of her even without the sword, and that she can slowly get it back. I like that idea.
And I have to say something, like, me and HC has been talking about before the season came out, that we were like 100% sure that the final, when Adora finally transforms into She-Ra, it will be like in the later episode, and we were kind of worried, at least I was, that it will happen like too soon. But what worked better than I would have thought was this, like, she did transform back way like before I thought it would have happened, and it actually worked for me.
Seeing how the full comeback is in the next episode, let's wait on this. But I do like that there's a build up to it, that she's not just automatically She-Ra.
Yeah.
But Wolf, I'm sorry, we've been
me
and Elli kind of took this over. What do you think about episode 4?
I enjoyed it. Like, it was. I wouldn't say it's my favorite episode out of the season, right? I think I have other more favorite episodes than this, especially hint hint to the next one, hint hint.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
But let's save it for a bit.
but
yeah.
yeah, looking at this one, I love the Star Siblings design. Like it was very unique, right? Very different from what we see on Etheria, which I think was really well done. And the bird, instantly fell in love with the bird. Loved the bird.
Oh, it was so cute.
Mm-hmm.
And the episode held like a lot of powerful and much needed moments, like between Bo and Glimmer, that I
Yeah,
was
this is
really
something.
looking forward to.
Yeah, this I was interested in seeing how Bo is going to react to Glimmer after how the last season went out, and it did feel like the writers maybe have watched our podcast and listened to some of my criticisms. I'm not sure, but forget the fact, however, that I didn't like Glimmer in the previous season. It did feel like how friends who knew each other forever would talk after a fight.
Yeah.
And another thing, we meet those 3 new characters who are cool, but there's the one with the bird. Does the bird remind anyone else of like a Miyazaki character? This design was very Miyazaki to me.
Give me
I
a
can't
specific
say.
character, because I can maybe see what you're coming from, but you'd have to give
No,
me a
not
specific character.
No, I'm not me. I don't mean like a specific Miyazaki character. Just that you'll see that this thing would fit in a Miyazaki movie, something like Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke or something.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like an owl, so I didn't give it any thought more than that.
Hey.
I was like, oh, a cute owl.
Yeah. Hey, maybe I'm just seeing things. I don't know. This is what it looked like to me. But yeah, this entire adventure. By the way, one small part which is great is Entrapta, having some alone time with the ship. That look
yeah.
she gives.
Because like Entrapta is robot sexual.
I mean, whatever
Sorry.
does you good.
Yeah.
Hey, you are not the first person to make that joke, so don't apologize for that. But
Well, yeah.
but other than that, one again, we did see a bit of the people back at Tyria, and one thing I like is like Swiftwind kind of voicing everyone's thoughts.
And just
Yeah.
kind of giving us like, hey, this is the rundown on everything that's happened here, which felt a little bit weird when he said, hey, the Crimson Waste people are acting up, so Scorpia and I think it was Perfuma went there to kind of deal with them. And it's like, but what about Huntara? It's like, it's weird that she's not there apparently. And I kept thinking throughout the entire season, right? Like, weird that we're not seeing any of Huntara right now. But we'll get to that one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that I'll give them this, right? There's certain things that I kept thinking of throughout the season. It's kind of weird that this isn't a thing right yet, and all of a sudden it would be a thing within the next episode or two, right? It would be a thing that they would come back to later. So I kind of do appreciate where I'm sitting here thinking, oh, it seems like they might have forgot about this, or they just didn't have the time for it, or it was unimportant, so they just didn't focus on it. And then all of a sudden, you may not get the a major amount of focus, but it does come back up eventually, right?
Yeah.
Which was neat to see, and I really appreciate that personally, because it's hard to do that, and I think they did it exceptionally well throughout the season.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay, but anything else on the episode? Oh,
I'll say it's
No.
it's a much needed kind of downtime episode after everything that's happened before it,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
kind of sets the stage for what comes
and
after.
but it's also a fun middle episode. Like you're not feeling like it's filler. It feels
No.
like something did happen,
Mhm.
and it was fun to good.
And also the fact that everyone thinks Adora is complicated and everything is complicated with Aurora is like, I needed that. Thank you.
Yeah.
But can we please talk about the season? No.
We're talking
five.
about season 5. We're talking about 5 already, but we're episode 5. Before we start on the episode itself, I just want to point out that the episode title is "Save the Cat."
Yes.
And referencing
It's
the
amazing.
fact, referencing the fact that Adora and friends are trying to save Catra from crime. That's great. The thing is that the Hebrew translator, whoever you may be, if you're listening to this, translate it as saving the male cat.
Okay.
Mr. Translator, what are you implying here?
Okay.
Just because Hold Prime takes control over Catra's mind doesn't mean he turned her male.
Spoilers.
We are in the spoiler section.
Okay. Well,
Just a mess up in translation. Usual whenever she talks about translations.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
She's adventure in translations.
No, this was I think in very early Bearcast we called this HC's stories from outside the US. So
that's
or
right.
tales outside the US. But the basic point is translator, learn your stuff. I actually think a girl translated this, so that makes it even funnier. But the episode itself, great episode, probably the best in the season.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff going on in this episode.
Yeah.
So before we start gushing all over it, allow me to say the one part that I'm not 100% clicking on, and that's She-Ra coming back now.
I love that.
Like the scene itself, don't get me wrong, is great. As a scene in the show, it's great. But the thing is, how we talked about building it up? That, she'll have moments of showing that She-Ra is still with her. All of a sudden in this, it kind of felt like She-Ra was a Deus Ex Machina. Like she showed up the moment Adora needed her, and Adora just knew that she can be She-Ra again, even without the sword. In fact, this is another thing I don't get, that suddenly she can make the sword on her own. If I missed an explanation, then I'm sorry, but this was my only... You could have done this a bit better.
Okay, I'm gonna say about the sword thing that I guess it's because, the first ones made the sword to control her, but this is like the state she would be in reality, like if they never tried to control her, and just because She-Ra is Adora and she doesn't need a sword or anything about for that now. And the sword that she makes, it's just a weapon, the sword of protection, but it's not like made up sword to control her, so I totally get that, and I think this was amazing because of Catra.
I think the one thing that I'm questioning here is I think it just happened too fast. Like if this episode was a bit ahead, then maybe I would have got it more because she has the more time to find She-Ra within herself. But it's still a great scene, and it's still a great episode, so now that I got my nitpick out of the way, let's talk about this.
I will kind of agree, right? Coming into this one, I felt this episode was a little bit too close to the beginning, maybe, because I came into this one and we saw Catra mind controlled and then saved, and it was done pretty quick. And I thought coming into the season, if that became a thing, that it would be a little bit later or it would last a bit longer, right?
But the fact that they knew that they were going to have 52 episodes, they have to bring a Catra back early, so that she has time to redeem and so I totally get this, and I was surprised. Oh, it's already, because how I imagined the plot going in my head was totally different, and was the way when I saw this, and now it totally makes sense what happens now for me. But at first I was like, oh, already? Are they killing Prime already? But then I understood, and now I'm like, yeah, it totally makes sense. It's inevitable and stuff.
Yeah, I do completely agree that, it did feel like it came a bit too soon, but the way they played it exceptionally well, especially with Catra at the very least, anyways, and her character, right?
Yeah, like the way she's revealed, in this white cloak and everything, that was pretty creepy. And
again, cult vibes, cult.
And can we talk about the hair?
Everything about Catra with, you know what? Catra with short hair, I was a little bit at first, but the more I saw it, the more it grew on me. I'm all for Catra's short hair. It works.
Like I saw a spoiler before the season came out that she is going to have short hair, and so I was like, this is happening now, and I was like, yes, because it looks so good and I love it. And just
By the way, the scene where Adora speaks to Hold Prime, the scenery itself, the colors and everything, it's very ominous, very badass. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And
But more
just
specifically,
so great.
Catra and Adora's fight. That
Yeah.
was well done. Just hearing Catra talk
Great
about
fight.
how, again, all the cult stuff of hearing Catra talk about how, you hurt me, you broke my heart, and then, Horde Prime saved me. He showed me the light. Like, very cult. God, the cult. The cult is strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like,
it got even
this...
creepier when they were fighting and Catra was like smiling all the time, and I was like, my cat girl, oh my god.
Like, actually, this reminds me, of a YouTuber I used to watch way back when, and like his final video ever was that he became religious, and he says that everyone who watched his videos before he became religious are idiots who need to find life. This one suddenly I remember as I listened to Ketra talk in this episode. It was like, yeesh.
Be a little bit careful. We don't. Moving on. We don't want to go down that road.
Yeah, extreme religionist, I should mention. But basically, but again, the comedy in this episode, as much as threatening and creepy as it can get, there's also a lot of good comedy in it.
A lot of
especially
Wrong Hordak.
Especially, yeah, Wrong Hordak is like the best thing.
He grew on me he grew on me a lot quicker than what I thought he would. Just the immediate breaking down of I'm cut off, I'm out, I'm outside of everything. I can't feel Horde Prime anymore, and it's just that I felt like, yeah, this is probably going to be a running joke and it's not going to be very good, but he grew on me a lot quicker than what I thought he would. And they didn't run that joke into the ground very long either.
Mm-hmm. By the way, is this the episode where Entrapta leaves her thing behind and Hordak sees it?
Yes.
Okay. Because this also was a great moment, in my opinion, that kind of to after all of this to have this little bit that can keeps you wanting more when you continue watching.
Mm-hmm.
Great end.
And also, Save the Cat brought us Wrong Hordak.
Yeah, we talked about them. Wrong Hordak is good and is funny. And now that we actually got to She-Ra coming back, what do we think about the new design?
I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked the new transformation for it too. I felt it was actually really well done, and they didn't overuse the transformation this season either. Right? Like they made sure that when they did use the transformation and when they did use She-Ra, like it was way more important, right? When it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like it made you feel like, yeah, this needs to happen now. This
and
is major.
I love the new design. I love it because it like represents the best friend squad. Like there's like part of everyone in it. Glimmer's wings in the boots or helmet, I don't remember. And then Bo's heart, and then Catra's mask, and it's just and then the final stand.
I did not notice that, but you are right.
Yeah, that is correct. Noel confirmed that.
I noticed Bo's heart, but I didn't notice the other stuff. One thing I will say is that I prefer her new hairstyle over the old, personally.
Same, because that's Adora, the hair. The mask is Catra. The wings are Glimmer, and the heart is Bo, and the final stand is the 80s She-Ra transformation. So yeah, that was like a nice Easter egg kind of thing. I love it.
So we all agree 5 is great. Should we move on to episode 6?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. So episode 6. This is the point where I'm starting. The season starts dragging a little bit, and the thing that drags to me is that, okay, Adora saved Catra, and I get it that Catra has a problem with admitting she needed help, and she has a bit of problem with Adora, who's always like trying to be the best and everything. But at the same time, we've seen this shtick so many times that by the point this episode came along, I was just sick of it. And
I mean,
I'm
but
probably the only
it's
one.
understandable.
It's understandable. It's understandable, and I'll say moreover, if we had to do this in one episode, then you know what, let it be it. Because in the future episodes, there's a point that really pissed me off about this. But at the same time, we've seen this so many times. Can we cut the bullshit? Really, guys? Let's move on.
I mean, it's kind of the point that they don't get along too well at first because they've
but
been
why? But
fighting
why
for
have an
3
episode?
years.
I think
I know.
Because they need it. They need the episode that they show that they are
Yeah,
not
I know
the
they need.
same anymore.
Yeah, I know, but again, we saw this in the previous seasons. We kind of got the idea that they're not the same anymore when Adora decided to join the rebellion as She-Ra, and Catra decided to stay with the Horde. We know they're different. We know that there are different. We know that the relationship is strained. So I get it. Show us a bit of it, but at the same time, we know this kind of stuff. Why are we wasting
literally
time?
the first one who says that they shouldn't be talking about the abuse and stuff they went through because that is clearly not something that they should come around with in one episode because they've been hurting
Again,
each other for 4 seasons. And so I'm not like they save each other. I mean, Adora saves Catra. It's not like everything is fine after that. They have to, have flashbacks and they shouldn't be okay with that all of a sudden. They need the angst because that's just natural way to go.
Okay, so let me rephrase that. The first talks they have in the episode, keep that. That's good. I understand that. I understand that it needs to be there because there is some kind of abusive relationship in there. At the same time, though, until we get to the point that Catra agrees to remove the chip, or maybe that she has an idea of how to use the chip to their advantage, there are like 2 more fights. And it's like,
Yeah.
we get. Maybe I'm alone on. I don't know, but
I think some of it you do have to take into account, right? That if they just kind of had everything be back to normal too quickly, that
yeah, of course.
it would take away from essentially the cult vibe and everything. Like again, I think they very much are trying to set up Horde Prime's entire group as like Horde Prime is a cult leader, right? That's his entire shtick.
Yeah.
Like he's the cult leader. He is their their messiah, their their prodigal son. Like he is that thing. Like he is the thing that most cult leaders would be. So I think in order for them to, if they had Catra just come around too quickly, it would take away from some of the cult vibes. And I think that's why they kind of show the whole mind link still being an effect for her, and her still having nightmares about that because she was seriously, involved in the cult, whether she wanted to be or not. And that is something that I think you have to approach with some carefulness, and you do have to give at least one episode for that to last a bit longer and for that to be kind of a point of contention between Adora and Catra, because Adora wouldn't get it, because she wouldn't know what that's like, because she's not felt it like Catra has, because Catra's been involved in that cult now.
And also, if we were talking about the flashbacks, I guess in the later, when she gets the flashbacks, like in episode 8, it's not like a flashback, but it's more like a memory. Like I guess she still has the memory from the time when she had the chip, and that's how she like remembers the place they were trying to go. But anyways, and because people don't change overnight, as
of course.
said.
Speaking to this episode, I will say the stuff with Micah and Frosta, while fun, I was kind of meh on it. I think I would have liked more focus on Catra and Adora and Catra's recovery a little bit. But I think with the time they were given, I think they worked it out.
Maybe that's my problem, actually. Maybe if it didn't keep coming back to the Ateria subplot, maybe I would have been more understanding of it.
Mhm.
I don't know, because
yeah,
I do get what you're saying. I don't know, something about the execution though felt
I
a
understand.
bit.
It definitely, again, like, this is something, I'll get to something very important, I feel, a little bit later as we get to the finale. But I do feel that maybe this could have used one more full episode to really
Yes.
explore some of the character interactions, especially in certain ways, like especially in regards to the abuse subplot and what that means for certain characters, and
Yes.
the entire idea of walking away from your abusers and getting away from them, and that being okay to do, and that being okay to never go back as well, even if they do become a better person. Hint, hint, wink, nudge at what I'm going to get at later.
Yes, I know.
But as much as I do relate to Micah, being an old man myself and trying to be hip with the kids, it felt a little bit meh. I'll be honest. Like, it was fun to watch, but it felt a little bit meh compared to everything else. It's like I didn't have to have that. It was fun. I relate to Micah. Old man unite. But
Yeah, I
but
get
I could have
that.
done without it.
Yeah, same. But like, well, anyways.
But I will say about this episode, the climax in space, that was great.
Oh yeah, that was a great fight
Yes.
scene. Just She-Ra kick ass. I loved it.
Yes, it gave me a Captain Marvel vibes,
Yeah, there
and
was
I'm
some.
sure I'm not the only one.
Yeah, there was some Captain Marvel vibe to it. I agree, but only She-Ra is better. But that's another story.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else about?
Well, I will say this, that I love the body language Catra had when Adora confronted her in the room. It was amazing. But that's it.
Something I noticed, like, I love a lot of the body language they do in general, like, especially for
Yes.
the background. Like, you wouldn't. It's something I noticed. Maybe they started doing it more in this season, but it's definitely something I noticed more here. You'll have a lot of the characters kind of move and look at other characters and do certain things just to communicate a little bit of body language,
Yes.
while other characters are more in the foreground talking or something like that. Like, there's a later episode where, I think it's let me see. It's the Shot in the Dark episode 8, maybe? Is that the one?
Yes.
Where they meet the cat?
Maylog, yes.
Yes,
It's
all right.
one of my
So,
other favorites.
You'll see Adora and Catra laughing in that. I'm getting ahead, I know. You'll see Adora and Catra laughing in that, and you'll just kind of see that hold. You'll see a kind of zoomed out shot of Catra, Adora on either side of Bow and Glimmer. A little bit of space between them, but you'll kind of just see it hold on those two laughing a little bit longer, and Catra just watching Adora, and Bow just kind of looks over to Glimmer and just, I don't know. Like, the body language there, it really conveys exactly what they wanted to convey, and I really enjoyed seeing some of that background body language between a lot of the characters.
Yeah, that's something that Ellie actually, spoiler part. The animation really improved this season, and I like how they're actually letting some of the animation tell the story, through movements.
Agreed.
Yes. Let's move on.
Okay, so episode 7. Question about that. Hold on, what the hell happened? My notes disappeared. Oh no.
Oh no. Do it like me, just all live, no notes, just wing it. You'll figure it out.
Well, I'm gonna say something quickly about this
Okay.
episode. It's the fact that I was like, oh yeah, people, I've been waiting to see him for a long time, and then I'm disappointed. It's not really him, but then I see Double Trouble, and I'm not disappointed anymore. So
Yeah, double troubles. Appearance in this episode was great. I will say though, this is the point where the season kind of starts feeling like a bit. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed this kind of filler idea of them going like undercover and taking a bit of a break. And Scorpia's song is great, by the way. This was awesome. And
we stand Scorpio. Yes.
and another thing, and there was another thing that when they're in this bar, and Seahawk notices one of the guys that like he apparently hurt at the past or did something
Dated.
wrong. Yeah.
Dated. I thought it was set his boat on fire. Because he does that a lot.
Yeah. Does this guy look like Aquaman to you?
No.
Maybe. I think I know what you're talking about, and I could kind of maybe see it.
Nope.
I suppose. It depends on which Aquaman we're talking about.
I don't know. Just I think I don't remember exactly, but I think it was the Jason Momoa Aquaman. Or
No. No.
Okay.
Then
fair point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about the design.
But, my boy Seahawk gets finally time in the spotlight and gets to be a leading man, and I loved it. Because my boy, I love him.
Yeah. See,
and I loved...
I am.
And I loved hearing Ramista admit to him, like, okay, I may have set this one guy's boat on fire to see what it feels like. And he's like,
Yes.
You are the perfect woman for me. Yeah.
Yes. I was like, you're everything I wanted. And I was like, yeah, I know. Oh my god. Yes.
And
seeing them play, dress up and everything, and seeing everyone's kind of new look, I love that. Perfuma looks great.
Yes, and we got some Scorfuma content, and my shipping side needs that. And thank you, Noel.
On that note, I did enjoy Scorpia's not really sacrifice because she's alive, but her moment of like, I'll stay here, you guys get away. That was a great moment for her.
Yes, and we get to admire Scorpia's back. That was great.
Fair enough.
Yes.
And then this is also the episode that kind of implies that the other Atyrians are starting to get infected by those chips that make them hold Prime's eyes.
But we saw it last episode, right? Like they hinted at it.
Okay.
And that's something I was going to mention. I forgot to mention too. Like we see them, at the very end of last episode, they've chipped Spinnerella, right? And we find out for sure, like Spinnerella's been going around chipping many other people in this episode, and like the rebellion's already been completely compromised, right? But I feel like maybe they should have hung on to that reveal instead of revealing it last episode that Spinnerella was chipped. I think it would have been a little bit more interesting if they would have hung on it to this episode, and then we get this reveal from Double Trouble that everyone that's in the bars, most everyone in the bar was also chipped, right? And then we kind of flip back to the rebellion camp, and we see, Natosa kind of following around Spinnerella and trying to figure out what's going on, things like that. I think it would have been great to hold the reveal for that moment, and then we find out like, oh, a lot of the Horde camp's been, chipped. They're, compromised, stuff like that. Like I think holding that reveal for a bit longer might have been more interesting and kind of given a little bit more of a mystery and just worked for it. But the way they did it was fine too.
Yeah.
So anything else about episode 7?
Nope.
It was a fun little side episode, I would say. Again, not one of the stronger episodes, but it worked for what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we move on to episode 8, Shot in the Dark. And
my god, yes.
The only thing that I will say about this episode that I think is worth mentioning is that we get this alien thing that helps them turn invisible. I forgot its name.
It's a magic cat. I'm guessing this is a reference to the magic cats, right?
Yes, because okay, I'm gonna say it because I have a note for this. Things I would have wanted from this show was that Catra would turn into the cat because she's a magic cat in the original. And going into this episode, I was like 100% sure that this is like a planet of magic cats. And she will like somehow find a way to, transform into that cat because I thought that was going to happen when I watched the trailer. But as I went into the episode and I watched it and it ended, I was like, I'm not disappointed anymore because I love Milok and I would, it was way more better than if Catra would just transform into the magic cat stage Because on the other hand, I love Catra as a character that's just normal without powers and just showing that she is powerful without magic or anything like that. So it's like a win-win situation. I would have wanted, but this was even better. So, and Milog is like, I don't know, amazing.
He is adorable.
It's pure magic. So, you could like see that he's round when you could see like those magic dots flying around them, and it was like it was magic, and it could like take the form of different things. Most the cat thing, and it was just great because like it bonded with Catra because Catra cat and Milo cat, and then they could just understand each other. I found it like perfect that Catra got like some kind of service animal, I just loved it. It was perfect. And also, while we're at it, I love the interaction between the best friend squad in this episode because Bo calling Catra cute, I was like, yes, yes, and all the
this
looks
is another
and...
thing. This is another thing I like that they're slowly trying to gather into like the best friend squad that they have. This was adorable.
Yeah, like she clearly doesn't want in, but she actually does want in, and it's just so cute. And when Adora and Catra would stare at each other, and Adora watching Catra and A when she just punches like or scratches a door with the door, and I was like, oh, yes, same Adora, same. I get you. But yeah.
So before we forget, I'll mention Wrong Hordak and his poor breakdown.
Yes.
Poor
Wrong
guy.
Hordak.
Completely realizing that his cult leader lied to him. I think that was also kind of great, right? And how they handled that, like, and he just gets over it so quickly. Like, he betrayed us. He lied to us. We need to tell people.
Need to kill. We need to kill him.
I also like how easy it was to convince him. He's like, he lied to you. Oh no, he lied to us. We need to kill him now. That's
I love Entrapped kind of off to the side. Data never lies, and he's just over there freaking out like, but he lied to us. It's like, Data never lies.
How many times do I have to tell you that Data never lies?
And he just starts bawling out even more. Yep. I love that back and forth between the two of them. That was great.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was indeed great. But again, when you talk some of those cute, actually another thing that I think this is the episode where at the beginning you see Adora like in her thoughts and when and then like Bo and Glenn talk to her, Catra actually comes in and it's like, oh, we're messing with Adora, let's do this.
Oh my god, yes.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure a lot of the shippers immediately jumped for glee when they saw Catra sit in Adora's lap.
Yeah, I did. Yes.
Exhibit A, Elli, she's here.
Yes, I am one of those, like, Catra purring while she sits on Adora's lap.
Fuck you. Fuck the show for doing that too. I hate you. That's cheating. That's cheating.
And the fact that Adora like holds her there, and when she jumps away, Adora is like, "Oh, you left." Like in the previous seasons when they hold hands and one of them takes the hand away, the other one immediately looks like, "Oh, why did you stop holding hands?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm all here for it."
I stand by it. The purring is cheating, by the way. Show writers and show workers, all of you, the purring is cheating, and fuck you. Fuck you. It's cheating. It's immediate cheating because no one hates the sound of a purring cat. Find me one person that hates the sound of a purring cat, and I'll tell them they're a liar. Because that is a great sound. I don't know why it's a great sound, but it is. So fuck you for using it. You're cheaters.
Yeah. Oh my god. How can someone hate Catra? That is one thing I will never understand.
People are idiots.
I guess. Hi, idiots.
I know that there are opinions. In this case, no, Catra is the best character.
Well, your opinions are wrong.
Unless if they like Entrapped better, then fair play. I give them credit. At least they like Entrapta.
Yeah, and Trapta is a babe.
Here in the Outcast,
But-
we want to make sure that if you don't like Catra, this is completely fair and this is your opinion. But at the same time, we can make fun of you.
In this
Like,
house,
make
we
fun of us.
stand Catra and Entrapta. Take your pick. If you stand neither of them, get out of this house. But yeah, calling attention to it, what do you think of Shadow Weaver in this episode? Because we saw her and
Shadow Weaver is a bitch, but she's some
Fair
kind
enough.
of smart a bitch. I can see her like celebrate. I saw a amazing fun art somewhere which had Shadow Weaver with a bottle of champagne, and she was bobbing bottles and said, "I survived child abuse," and I was like, "Yes, you bitch, but you died."
So I found it interesting that it seems like when we get into this episode, we kind of see Shadow Weaver working with Castaspella, and it seems like Shadow Weaver's found out that, hey,
Also-
go ahead.
Castaspella is a mood when she says like, "Oh, we lost all our like good soldiers, and yet we're stuck here with you." And I was like, "Yes, that bitch always survives. Why?"
Luck. But I did like that. Yeah, I found it interesting that they showed that Shadow Weaver has actually been looking into the magic of Etheria, and she's found out that the heart of Etheria has actually blocked a lot of that, and it's made it sleep essentially, right? I found that
Yeah.
interesting because it makes sense, right, that a lot of that's been
Yeah.
locked away because of the heart of Etheria, but it's interesting seeing and hearing that come from Shadow Weaver, someone who is obsessed with power. But
Yeah,
she's using
she's
that
like
obsession.
so complicated.
It's
Yeah.
interesting, right? Because now she's using that obsession with power in a way to help others. But,
Yeah,
sure, it might also help her, but she is using it to help others too. I find it interesting because it does kind of set up the idea of maybe they are going to redeem her, which
yeah.
is
Which
even more
is-
interesting
which she
with what
doesn't
comes
deserve.
later.
Mhm. Yeah, but we're still on episode 8, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Moving on to episode 9.
we can move. Yeah,
To episode 9, and
Ill Wind.
and Ill Wind. And this is the episode where our gang goes back to Atiria and we see that things have gone to shit.
Mhm.
yes, and they go to that weird mushroom village where everybody is a mushroom, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Is this like Super Mario World?"
I was about
Toads.
I was about to say like when I saw the toad people, I'm like, God, are those going to tell that the princesses are in another castle? Because I'm going to jump on them.
Technically, they did say they were there, but now they're not. So they technically did
Yeah.
make that joke. They technically did make that joke in a roundabout way.
Yeah, I loved Netosa and Spinnerella interaction. You know how Netosa tried to get her wife to listen, and she did, and oh my god, it was so. Oh,
Before
My
we
heart-
get to the
my heart.
before we get to the fight scenes, there is one thing I want to bring up, and that there's a quick line where we're gonna have to fight our friend, and Katra.
Yes. I was going to bring that up.
And Katra jokes and said, "This never bothered you before."
Mhm.
And I'm aware that this was supposed to be like a funny exchange and everything, but when you really think about it, this kind of removes all threats from this thing, because Adora had no problem fighting her friends who she grew up with in the previous season. So why is this matter? You know exactly what causes it. So you know that even if you have to hurt them, your friends, you're doing this in order to help them. So this was kind of like, I think they were trying to make, they kind of understood that they rolled themselves into a corner with this. So they threw in a joke, but the thing is that all the joke does is actually point out the flaw even more, if you ask.
Well,
think
well,
it's-
well. I have something to say about that. I guess it's because when Adora, changed sides, it was because of her morals, and because her morals were different than the others with the horde, and they fight because of the morals didn't match. But now the reason is not because of morals, it's just because they're evil, and she knows that they don't actually think about that. So that's the difference, because people in the horde back then were like, they disagreed, and that was the fight. And now it's just like evil guy turned them against you and you have to fight them, and that's like, it's different for me. At least this is how I see that, but I get your point. Yeah.
Well, I think it's also interesting that they made this joke because something that I think She-Ra has done for the most part exceptionally well on throughout all of its seasons is the idea of abuse, being abused, leaving your abusers, and understanding when a relationship isn't healthy for you, and when it's okay to walk away, even if you made a promise to stay, that it's still okay to walk away from that person because of said abuse. And I find it interesting that they make this joke because Catra was one of those people who, was an abuser towards Adora specifically, and you had her herself being abused, right? And I find it interesting that they bring this up because, something this season doesn't necessarily touch on a lot, and it's probably the one thing that I would say I walk away from the season a little bit disappointed that we didn't get at least a little bit of, is whether or not we should forgive our abusers, right? Even if they do turn out to be better people, like, say Catra. Should everyone just forgive her so easily? Should people not be a little bit mad at her still? Should they still even want to have anything to do with her still? I find it interesting that they make that joke because that does link back into that idea of abuse and whether or not, even if your abuser does turn over a new leaf and becomes a better person,
Yeah.
is that okay?
I agree. Yeah.
So I find it interesting that they make that joke.
That is an interesting thing for a real world but at the same time, when it comes to the story, the world, it does raise a few questions which I don't think the writers wanted to answer.
I think they do because they've focused on abuse a lot in this show.
Yeah.
I think they've been pretty clear about the idea of abuse and that it's okay to leave your abusers even if you promise to be with them, like Scorpia, for example.
Yes. That is true.
Now granted, right, but we could have an entire discussion on the idea of abuse.
Yeah, you didn't get me though. I'm not talking about the idea of abuse and how it. This, I'm sure, this, you can, this is interesting that I brought it up. This is a great, I think this is also a great show to point out when it comes to topics like this. What I'm saying, forget the undertones for a second. Let's focus on the story as it is. What I'm getting as a viewer and a fan of the show. When you point this out, you're creating problems for your storytelling. Forget the undertones. I'm talking to you that when you point out that Adora had no problem attacking friends, her old friends at the home, including Catra, but now all of a sudden she points it out problem, and spoiler alert, this is kind of something that carries on to the next episode too with some of the princesses. This is where I'm kind of stopping and saying hypocrites.
Well,
this is the point where I get that they don't want to hurt their friends, but at the same time we've had plots in shows like this before.
I kind of answered that.
Mm-hmm. Just let me finish by saying that the thing is that these people would the people hurt you, and so if they are hurting you, that's because of that chip that you are aware of. This is something Whole Prime does, and you know that you don't necessarily need to hurt them. You just need to get them out of the way a bit. Or you don't you also tell them like you do all of those other all the clones. So just you hurt them a bit, but at the end of the day, you're going to save them. So this part felt a bit off. I don't know, maybe I'm alone on this, maybe I'm an idiot, I don't know,
yes.
but
that is true.
Thank you.
But anyways, I think my point stands. I'm not sure if it's right, but you know.
There's no such thing as right or wrong. You don't agree, then you don't agree. That's perfectly fine.
That's completely fair.
This is why we're doing this podcast. We're talking about the show.
Again, I think, for me bringing up what I brought up, I think it also kind of hints at that same thing of, I think, again, the idea of them using this joke and bringing this joke up does reflect in a way on everything they've done before and even in the moment, right? And it brings up interesting questions regardless of which way you come at it, I feel. So it's interesting that the joke's there, and maybe, if you really want to delve into it, it's not the best joke to make. Maybe it works on a much different level that I'm maybe not getting yet. Time will tell. But for now, I just think it's interesting that the joke is there, considering everything that She-Ra's kind of touched upon and done in this season and past seasons.
Okay. Anyways.
Moving right along.
To episode 11. Since
10.
I basically...
10.
10. Sorry, 10. So, seeing how I kind of said my views, you want to take the lead on this? I'll jump in.
I loved how Bo and Glimmer went to see Bo's dads, because I love the dads, and they brought up an interesting point, and it was great, and I love them.
Bo's dads are enjoyable, so yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I do enjoy Bo's dads, especially that as soon as he read the note they left him, he's like, I know where they are.
So something I loved about this episode, seeing Natosa talk about everyone's weaknesses, and then more specific puns. More specifically, though, they got me with the dumbest joke in the world, but I love it to death. Seeing Natosa spray bottle Catra was the stupidest and funniest thing in the world, and her just freaking out because Catra's over there. Ha! You talk about everyone else's weaknesses, but these are princesses. You don't know what the real threat's weakness is, and she just walks over to Catra and just starts spraying her with water. Yeah. I laughed so much. That was enjoyable.
Oh my fucking god.
Natosa is great.
Yes. Noel said that Natosa would adopt Catra. Natosa and Spinnerella would adopt Catra. And I'm here for it. Let it happen.
I can see it. I can definitely see it. And just Milog hiding in the background from her while she's spraying Catra as well. That was all great. That was all very enjoyable. But the fight in the Fright Zone, seeing, and considering what HC was talking about earlier, we see Perfuma unwilling to really go all out against her friends and really fight them, even though she knows that they're trying to kill her. She's unwilling to do the same.
Yeah, and well, the fight broke my heart because I can't see my friends just killing each other. It's just so sad. But anyways, I've actually seen this episode only once, so I don't have it in a fresh memory. Others I've watched 2 times, and the last episode I've watched 10.
I think also kind of seeing the end and the ending of this episode after the fight, and you see Scorpia intentionally miss on purpose from hitting Perfuma and Adora and trying to kill them, and you kind of see Catra come up to Perfuma and say hey, guess it kind of sucked, everything you went through, and she just kind of looks over at her.
Yeah.
Thank you, computer, for that noise. She just kind of looks over at her and says she missed on purpose, and you have.
Yes. Oh my god. Yes, that
interaction between Perfuma and Catra, and I enjoyed that because it kind of shows everyone's kind of teaching everyone, and everyone's kind of learning from everyone, and you kind of see everyone kind of teaching Catra how to be a better person slowly. Like, she is learning from everyone what it means to really be a friend.
Yeah.
Yes. And I agree. This was and this is also kind of one of those that again, despite my one problem, I won't go over this again. This does show the shit is going down now, and we are at the end. We are at the end. No turning back.
We're in the end game now.
Yeah.
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 And this does, but the main takeaway of this episode that apparently the heart of the wall, the heart of Etheria, Hold Prime wants to use, apparently it has a failsafe.
Mhm.
And if they use that failsafe, they could stop him from taking over Etheria. So,
Yes.
with that said, we are moving on to episode 11, which is
Failsafe.
failsafe. Yeah. Okay. What do you guys think? Because overall, I really like this episode
Same.
until the ending.
Oh.
Hmm.
I loved the interaction between Adora, Catra, and Shadow Weaver because they
Mhm.
confronting their abuser, and
Yeah.
how Shadow Weaver and Catra are fighting kinda over Adora, and it's just so cool to see that it's so natural for Catra to feel that way, and I totally get her slashing out to Shadow Weaver, and Shadow Weaver is a bitch, and when she keeps
Manipulating.
yes, Adora to leave Catra, it's just so heartbreaking because Shadow Weaver is anti-gay person apparently. Let my
It's not
babies
necessary.
marry. I was joking, but anyways. Let my girls get married, please. And you bitch can go, die, or something. I don't care. I don't give a fuck about your destiny.
It's funny
Thank
to
you.
hear you say that considering finale, but we'll
Spoilers.
get to that. Well, in the
Yeah.
spoilers section, it doesn't, just because we're not talking about that episode, like people who haven't saw the show closed this ages ago. It doesn't matter.
We don't know that
So,
yet. But talking
Well-
about, Shadow Weaver trying to convince Adora that Catra is bad for her, I found that interesting too, because technically they aren't necessarily good for one another. They do bring out the worst in one another. That is something that the past 4 seasons have kind of shown us and taught us, that these two do have a very complicated relationship, and they do at times bring out the worst in one another. And I know you want to say something so bad, but I find it interesting that Shadow Weaver's the one who brings this up, because again,
Wolf, don't you hear the clinking? She's
Mhm.
sharpening her knife.
that was
She's
actually
going-
me. That was actually me
Oh.
closing my cup.
I
Oh, go ahead. I'll wait.
I can't say you're wrong, but that hurt. That hurt me so
I know
much.
it hurts. It hurts me too. I admit.
I'm on the verge of crying.
Yeah,
find
this
it
is
interesting.
actually something I will agree. I want Adora and Catra to be together, but at the same time, Shadow Weaver does have a few good points.
Well, I
Shadow
find it-
Weaver is a bitch. That's
yeah.
the only thing she is.
I find it
Okay.
interesting that it's Shadow Weaver who brings this up, and especially I find it interesting that Catra confuses you, so you should, and you can't be confused. You need to be focused right now in order to use She-Ra. And I find it interesting because that confusion, I think everyone kind of realizes at that point, if they hadn't realized by now, is that confusion isn't because of them having. It's not because of their issues with one another. It's because Adora is trying to figure out her feelings for Catra, and she hasn't yet. Catra has, but Adora hasn't.
Exactly.
And I do also, from that point of view, find it interesting. Again, there's a
Yes.
lot of
Also-
ways to take the conversation that Adora and Shadow Weaver have with here, and it's a very loaded conversation when you really get down to it.
Tumblr analysts, go.
Was it in this episode where Catra, or was it in the next one? I don't know. Anyways, when she's riding Milok, and then she's like, Adora doesn't want me not the way I want her. It was so heartbreaking.
That was this one, yeah. Or there was the next one, one of the two.
Are we jumping into
Well-
the end of the episode?
Well, I will say, you mean into the season?
No, the end of the episode, episode 11.
Okay, I will say for episode 11, right? Finding out that, hey, whoever takes the failsafe, they'll have to, hold in all of the magic of Etheria that the heart of Etheria has, contained and everything, and they'll have to hold that in, and if they're not careful, it could kill them. Seeing that and kind of Catra trying to catch out Shadow Weaver and telling her like, "Hey, you've not. There's something you're hiding from us. I know it. Something you're hiding from us because it's what you do." I think that was a really good
Yeah.
moment too.
And
Seeing
I
Catra
was
know
like,
that.
I hoped Catra would have said, maybe you, bitch, should walk into there and take the magic and die, please. Thank you.
This, though, does bring me to my problem with the episode. It's not Adora taking the fails. This was supposed to happen, we know it. And I think this is one of the best readings of the Honor Grace call that Adora's voice actors give throughout the entire show. But after this, you always have to do this. Shut the fuck up already. We don't have time for this shit. We know you're going to get together. Stop with the pointless drama.
I don't think it's pointless though.
It's
I don't
not
think it's
pointless at all.
I would honestly disagree. This just felt like padding because this doesn't go anywhere. It has.
Again, I think
they've had issues for so long. It's not going to get all right in just like.
Of course, it's not good.
They will have it after years, and I'm sure they will have like fights after years of this happens because that's part of the healing, and people doesn't change overnight. So I get it. It's necessary.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, this is not a personal matter like Adora saving Catra from where Hold Prime was. This is not we're going to have to hurt our friends. Oh, like this didn't stop you before. This is not a personal matter. The world is at stake, and Catra agreed to help with this. She knew that at some point Adora or She-Ra, whatever you want to go with, is gonna be the one to stop this. So just try it in there. This is honestly felt like Flanderization, which is hard me to say. It hurts me to say, but it felt like it. I know you don't agree with me, and I'm sure that all the listeners probably type in their angry comments.
They will be.
I'm aware.
Send your angry comments to @HC, by the way.
Yeah, if you want to hone in also.
Don't do that. Don't. I will delete your comments if you do that. But more specifically, I think it's actually. Yeah, I think it is something they do kind of address when they have. I'm jumping ahead here again, I know. When they have Mara and Adora / She-Ra's conversation, right? And Mara tells her, what about you? What do you want? And Catra asks her the same thing. What do you want from all of this? And Adora's only response is, I have to do this. Like, because she doesn't know what she wants. At least she's not willing to admit
doesn't know who she is, really.
What she wants necessarily at that moment. It takes her just a little bit longer to figure out what she truly wants, and that's to be with Catra, to be with her friends. She doesn't want to sacrifice her life, but she feels like she has to. And that's what aggravates Catra so much, because Catra doesn't want that, right? Catra knows what she wants.
So you know what?
Catra wants to be with Adora. She doesn't want to lose her.
When you point it out like this, then you know what. Then when you say it like this is a good point, and I agree with this. The scene wasn't written like this, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with you, but I think you have to look at some more of the subcontext between the characters, right? It is buried a little bit.
Because like Catra
I do agree. Maybe they could have brought that out more in some way.
Like, I'll say this: since this is a relationship that has a lot of layers, I'm not sure if they could have done better than what we got, but maybe one more rewrite could have changed something.
This is why I say this is why I come back to that opinion of I think they could have used maybe another full episode to kind of get that idea across a bit more between these two characters and some of the others about what they really want from all of this after it's done, about what they're really after, right? That's why I say maybe they could have used that extra time.
Yeah, and like Catra is a person that is filled with emotions she doesn't want anyone else to see. And she is selfish in a way because all she wants is Adora to herself. So I totally get it. To some people it might be annoying, like trait of in a person, but she loves her and she doesn't want her to go. And you know what? So I think that is completely like a valid feel she has. Like don't go there, because if you have to choose between world and a person you love the most, maybe that person is your world and you don't want to get lose them, or like you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I'll say this. I get where you're coming from. I personally don't agree, or I think it could have been done better, but I see your point.
I agree with you. I think it also could have maybe been in some way a little bit more clear, or if we just would have had a bit more time with Catra and Adora together to learn kind of how Catra feels and to see more of that relationship building
And I think
how
because
they are both different.
like you said, but like we said, this entire episode was basically focused on the fact that does Catra hold Adora back? Is this relationship really the best thing?
Mhm.
So I think
Yeah,
just
it
it is, Ellie. Don't worry. But I think having talk in this one purge into this one episode that has which is a pretty beefy plot episode, because we get the failsafe, which is very dominant in the heroes. The next in finale, maybe Wolf is right, and another episode to actually give to maybe separate the two episodes isn't the one. I know it doesn't matter now. What does matter is that we are at the two-parallel finale.
I think with what they were given and the time they were given and what they had, they did the best they could,
Probably.
more or less. I think
because
we got
Noel
the best
has-
version we could have gotten. I just think that
yeah.
maybe if they had one more episode, they could have used it just that little bit more, just to fill it out that little bit more, and it just would have been that much better. Maybe.
And
I could be wrong.
Noel has said something like that. It's a really hard time when you write queer people, like gay leads, that like she's been struggling with whether or not the character can be too subtle, or like can they be just like straightforward. So I guess she has like very very hints in between the lines, so it's not like obvious what they want, or like I don't know if I can explain it, but like
Yeah, I get
I
what
get
you
it.
mean.
yeah.
But if we move on to the series finale,
Mhm.
out. And while before we get to that, I do want to say this came out like a week before. Ellie and I actually talked about this, and she said that Noelle Stevens have confirmed that the episode.
You broke up a little bit. You're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
Am I okay now?
Maybe. We'll see. Keep talking.
So, but just to Ellie and I talked about. She
Nope,
told me that
still breaking up.
Okay, so you know what? Let me just check my connection. I'll be right back.
Sure.
See you in a bit.
Well, jumping into the episode, thoughts? Do you have any? Yeah, about Heart.
Do I have? Boy, bro. Well, it's amazing, and I like. It's. Was it? Because I don't remember whether things happened in this or the next one.
I mean,
But
we talk about the finale since it's a two-parter. We'll just talk about the full thing. So whatever you feel like, go for it.
Okay, let's talk about the full thing. So I love that Catra still struggles and goes back, leaves, and then she realizes she has to come back and make things better, and it's just so heartbreaking. And also at the same time, my fangirling state goes just like higher, and I was like, yes, go girl, get her.
I'm back.
Yeah, okay.
Welcome back. We were talking
So,
a lot
I'm
about
back,
thoughts
I'm
on the
dead.
episode.
You buried my joke.
I'm sorry. Just so, what were we talking about before we continue?
Just a little bit of thoughts on the episode.
Okay.
But yeah, you can. HC, go on. What you were
You had a
saying.
thought.
What,
What was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to say that before the season came out, Ellie and I actually had a bit of a talk about the season, and she told me that Noelle Stevenson said that one of her favorite episodes is called Heart, which is a two-parter. And I told her I have a feeling this is going to be the series finale. Turns out I was right. So
Yeah. And just
So thoughts?
oh my god. Catra going out to Shadow Weaver telling that this is not about you. This is about bigger things than you. Bitch, die, please. Bitch. And then Shadow Weaver fucking dies. And I was like, party is on me.
So, bringing that up about Shadow Weaver's death, do you feel like that was a redemption for her?
No, absolutely not. I mean, it was like a conclusion that because she was kind of a mother figure and it cannot be taken away from them. And I get why they were crying, because she taught them everything they know. And it is, even though she was a horrible person, TM,
horrible person,
you
TM.
yeah, you might still miss the persons who raised you, even though they were horrible. And that I don't myself have any experience on abuse, but like I would think that or what I've been watching from
there
other
can be
people.
a connection there, regardless of
yeah so
if you've been
I
abused
get,
or not. There is still a connection there to that person, especially if they were like a parental figure. There is still a connection there, and a part of you does still want to care about them, even though maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. And that was like so well presented there. And when Shadow Weaver said to Catra that I'm so proud of you, and this is not your end, this is your beginning. And I was just so like, yes, okay, valid, you are a bitch, but okay, guess you're a...
I will say what you want about Shadow Weaver. Her sacrifice was well done.
Do you think this was a good
it was
out
necessary.
for her? Like, do you think this kind of ended her character really well?
I'm not sure if I'll say this is the very, very well, but at the same time,
I'm not sure what would have been better or worse. I don't really know, but like,
did you enjoy what you got with the ending with her
yes,
character, how they ended it?
yes,
Okay.
because she died. That was what I wanted.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah, but like, yeah, I honestly like that she finally said to Catra that she's proud of her, and like she actually, because back in time she said that Catra is so much alike to Shadow Weaver, and but Shadow Weaver is too far gone, and it was good for her to say to Catra that you're not too far gone. You have still time, and that honestly, that was just like, yes, Shadow Weaver. The only one good thing that comes from your mouth was that thank you. Now you can die. Thank you.
I like that. Catra starts off her her journey to her growth of becoming a new person and a better person, right? By saying, I want to do one good thing in my life, right? Like, this is the one good thing I want to do. And Shadow Weaver ends hers by doing one good thing. I actually kind of enjoy the juxtaposition between that and the parallel, yeah. I enjoy the parallel between that, yeah.
Yeah, great.
That was absolutely great.
On that note, because I think we are all going to talk about what's happening inside the Heart of Etheria, so can I just say the fight outside, all the characters using their powers, coming together, fighting off the army. Fantastic finale, and every character got a moment to shine. All the ships even got their moment to shine. Just wonderful.
You see
finale.
Hantara at the very end, which I was very curious.
Yeah, and we saw Lonnie, Kyle, and Rogelio with Imp, and just I was like, where are they? And also, I want to say about this last episode was that this whole season was a wild ride, and only in the last episode, I remembered that, oh, Angela is not back, and she's not coming back, because I was like, yeah, she will come back, but jeez.
So I guess
was just remembering her in the last episode.
we should point out, HC, my fan theory that I came up with about Angela and what's the character's name? Madame Raz is completely wrong. That was definitely not true. Now, if you remember
Okay,
that,
yeah. This is probably probably not true.
I
No?
can
because
see
I
what
said
you will
the idea I came up with was that maybe Angela is like, trapped in this, because Madame Raz is like this person who kind of flits between past and present, and the way they represented the idea of Alzheimer's in that episode and dementia. I thought my idea was, are they trying to go with this idea that Madame Raz
Hell
might be
no.
Angela? But no, it seems
I
like
mean-
that's definitely not true.
Angela is like 2 meters tall, and then Madame Raz is like. Wow,
Have you
50
seen
centimeters.
Have you seen cartoon shows? Old people get short in cartoon shows for some reason. Like every old person,
Yeah.
like
I
they
mean-
start out really
I mean-
tall, then all of a sudden get really short.
I mean, yeah, old people do get shorter, but not that much. So
That's how
I was like,
cartoons show it, though.
Yeah.
But-
So,
I did
But I will
enjoy
say
the
that
fight
one-
between Micah and Glimmer as well. Like that was
Yeah.
really
It was
good.
so amazing. Okay, one thing I wanted was that Glimmer gets her wings, but what I got instead was even better. Again, like she doesn't need them. She is a powerful goddess, and I fucking love her to the bits. I'm so bad at pronouncing. I'm sorry. I love her the bits, not bitch. But
Mhm.
just oh my
another
god,
thing,
yes.
another thing. Actually, that's while I was a bit away, but Glimmer and Bow. This is something
Yes.
they kind of
Oh,
throw
yeah.
in. Because I kind of figured because at the end of the day, one of the things that people brought up about this finale is that everyone is shipped now. But
Yeah.
this was the one that was kind of left up in the air as if they love each other romantically or platonically. Because
I say romantically.
I
I
think
am 100%
Looking at Adora's, what her kind of wish, I guess you would say,
Yeah.
that kind of confirms it, more or
Okay,
less,
that's,
kind of, maybe,
Because-
sort of.
Yes, I think they were. I knew from the very beginning. I had a feeling. I don't know anything, but I had a feeling that they will be like end game, because like I remember when Angela said like, "Oh, I like that boy," and Glimmer was like, "Oh yeah, I know you do," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, that will be the future King Bow," and they kind of hinted at that, and I was like, "Yes." Also, did you notice that in the future vision, kind of, Glimmer and Bow were both wearing one of Angela's earrings,
Hmm.
because that was damn cool, and that kind of confirms to me that they were actually couple,
Mm-hmm.
romantic couple,
okay.
king couple. Fuck. Yes. Can we talk about the kiss now?
Okay, so I guess we are gonna, it was only a matter of time.
Okay,
Shippers
so-
rejoice, you got your catch her or a kiss.
So
Yeah, but
Yes.
I will say that, for something that was built up throughout 5 seasons and everybody wanted, say hi, Ellie, but I think they handled it really well.
I agree.
The way.
yes. Like, if God hates the gays, then why do we keep winning? Jesus.
I will say, as someone who had the fortune to direct a lesbian kiss in a movie, Ellie knows what I'm talking about.
Yes.
This was done really well.
I agree.
Oh my god, yes. And because they were almost that they didn't get it there, but then Noel kept like insisting that this has to happen, it's inevitable, and I'm so glad it did, because oh my god. And the I love yous, and it was just so perfect. And actually my reaction was, I was watching with my friend, and she took a video of us because we were screaming, and I'm not talking about a little screaming. We were jumping, screaming so fucking loud that my neighbor who lives
you
downstairs,
need-
like 2 floors downstairs, heard us.
You need to send me that video. I need to see this.
Yes, I will. We were crying. We were like giving each other high fives. We almost kissed because of that. We were so happy.
Wow.
I'm kidding, but like my God, our gay soul just went. I've ascended for real. I'm just here. I'm just here.
Yeah,
Thank you, Noah.
I want,
I
Thank
completely
you,
want
agree.
to say,
It's a
I want to say
it's a
that
very powerful
Ellie's
moment.
like Ellie's Discord status for the longest time was Katadura's endgame, and right after she finished the show, she changed it to "You know I was right," and that actually kind of.
You
And
realized that? You understood that?
yeah, of course I understood
Oh
that.
my God! Yes, you're the first one who actually got that. I was like,
And here's the
nobody's.
thing. Not only did I get it, but you spoiled it for me because I wasn't even at episode 5 when you changed it. So I'm
sorry.
It's okay. I knew this was coming, so.
You are the first one who actually at least tells me that they got it. But yeah, I was right. I was right from the beginning. Anyways.
Freak out aside, it was a very powerful moment, and I think it's hard to watch that and not tear up a little bit because it is again a very powerful moment like that.
Yeah,
Seeing
like
those two characters
the way
finally
also
admit
the
between
way
one another and how they react and kind of their body language, and just hearing Katra kind of parallel something Adora said in a past season of "You've never given up ever, especially
Yeah.
not on me. You can't."
It was
start
actually in
now.
this season. It was this season.
You're
In
right,
episode
it was,
5.
Seeing...
Yeah, Adora says something like, "You've never listened to anyone in your life, so don't you dare stop now."
Mhm.
And now it was like other way around. You haven't ever stopped trying, so don't you dare stop trying now.
Yeah,
And it
great
was great. It was
Great
like
scene indeed.
cinematic poetry.
and seeing Adora's kind of dream or wish, what have you, and just seeing it kind of all fall apart around her when Horde Prime comes in.
Yes.
Very
Yeah,
well
that
done.
was-
And just seeing
And
everything
see-
with Horde Prime in this episode, like if you talk about Thanos energy earlier, huge Thanos energy in this
Oh
one.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like big Thanos energy
Oh.
in this finale from Horde Prime, most assuredly so. And then
Yes.
just the interaction, even Hordak gets a little bit of spotlight right at the end with Entrapta, and he has to kill her,
Yes.
and he's like, "No, I can't do that." And he kind of accepts that you're not. He kind of breaks the mind washing and gets past it and everything. Like it's a lot of
Yeah.
good stuff comes into this one, and it all wraps up in such a way that honestly, like I said,
Yes.
walking away from it, I'm happy with the way this ends. I couldn't
Yeah.
ask for more.
I could ask a tons of more. But like, yeah, it ended very well. I would have wanted a bit longer epilogue, if that's how you pronounce it. But
Epilogue,
anyways,
yeah. Seeing
Yeah.
everyone kind of doing their thing more,
Yeah.
I agree. That would have been nice.
yeah, maybe the real future vision, maybe that, or like, the best friend squad going for that road trip to
Well,
the
yeah,
space
Bringing
or
that up,
something like that.
asking you, if they came out and said, "Hey, we're doing a sequel to She-Ra where it's, them kind of visiting other planets and bringing back magic to the universe," is that something you would be up for watching?
I mean, of course, but like, I would watch everything they would give me, but
Fair.
I get that
Right.
when Noel said that it should be necessary for the characters, so I get that because many things just goes on and then they just ruin. But now, like, this was a good ending. If there was like a movie or like a short film or
Mhm.
something, I would be glad, like some sort of like
This
spin-off
is something Ellie
story.
and I talked about this, and I'm not sure where she got it from, but apparently Noel is interested to do something with He-Man. And,
Yeah,
and I think and I think it will be interesting to introduce He-Man into this world now that
Well,
maybe
All the
he was
gayness.
on another planet.
Well, I will tell you this. Noel said that yes, he was interested in doing some He-Man things, but it's She-Ra as it is will end here. So
Yeah.
we don't see She-Ra as it is now. Some people might do the He-Man thing based on this, but Noel.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
thing is that this is no matter what they do with this, whether they do a spin-off that continues She-Ra's story, whether they do a He-Man thing, we can at least be happy that this show in particular got the finale it deserved. It got
Yeah.
a good finale.
Yes.
And if we don't like whatever they do next, even though I have trust in this crew because I cared so little to not at all about He-Man or She-Ra previously, and this show I ended up liking.
Yeah.
So so whatever they do, I'll give it a shot. But at the same time, I know that if I won't like it necessarily, then
Always have this
at
to come
least
back to.
I have this, and I know this ended well.
Yes.
Because a lot of shows nowadays, when they hype up a season, all of a sudden the finale ends up being such a disappointment. So I'm
Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones.
among other things, I zombie. But we can name a lot of shows that we think had terrible finales. But so I'm glad to say this ended on a good note, and I'm happy with what I got, despite some of my nitpicks.
Yeah, in conclusion, perfection. Thank you, Noel. You're my goddess.
Again, like I said earlier, I walk away from this happy. I think, again, if there's any one thing that I think could have, or I would have liked to have seen from this season, is a bit more on the idea of abuse and if it, and it being okay to not accept your abuser back and not accept them into their lives, back into your life, even though they have become a better person. Looking at Catra and Scorpia and their relationship, and just how quickly, Scorpia just comes up and hugs her and says, "Oh, it's all right." It's very quickly done because again, they have a lot of other stuff to focus on. So I do get and understand that, but it would have been interesting to see that for me personally, and I would have been interested to see, does Scorpia allow her back into her life or does she not? Is it, and it being the right decision, and it being an okay decision to make, to say, you may be a better person, but I've moved past you because I had to move past you because you weren't necessarily good for me, right?
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen a bit more of that within this season, since She-Ra's been this thing that has focused on the idea of abuse and that it's okay to leave those abusive relationships quite a bit in past seasons. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of that and how it finishes, right? But with that said, I still loved what I got. I still very much enjoyed what I got, and I walk away from it very much happy with what I got.
Yes.
Yes.
That concludes it all.
So I think we are done. We've gone through everything. Okay, so with that said, that's all for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed it. What did you think about She-Ra and the Princess of Power Season 5? Do you think it was a good finale? Were you let down? You can tell us all about that in the comment section below. Go easy on me. You can also find us on our Tumblr page, which is Bearcast Team, and our Twitter page, which is Bearcast with a capital B, capital C. So until next time, I was HC.
I was Wolf.
I was Elli.
And we will talk to you all next time. Take care, and for one last time, are you gonna do this with me? Are we gonna end on saying this?
Go for it.
I guess, yeah.
For the honor of Grayskull.
Honor of Grayskull. For the honor of Grayskull.
Okay. Let's start. 3, 2, 1. For the honor
right
of
now.
Grayskull.